Hi, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are currently live in the breakout room. So, welcome, and we love being here for you with quality and value to inspire and to transform. Remember, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and iTunes. Today, as usual, we have a special guest to share with you for your development and growth and to live your better informed life. So, grab a cup, pull up a seat, and stay tuned for the introduction. Right here, now, live in the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned. Let's meet our guest live in the breakout room. He's the man of the moment, Steve BOYRS, author and speaker. Steve has been a teacher and a coach for the past 25 years. He's also written a book entitled How to Beat Stalin, Hitler, and the Southern State Parkway. Steve is a man of very strong family values. He shares with us, in his own words, the following. It is a motivational story about how in my darkest time, my mother, family history, and football helped me to bring me back from the abyss and have a happy and successful life. I wrote it to help people who are struggling in these very chaotic times. The goal is that the story shared will give folks hope for a better tomorrow. I want to pay back all the people who helped me. Yes, indeed. So, my people, let's welcome our featured guest live in the breakout room, the man, Steve BOYRS. And we are live in the breakout room. This is Andy, your host, your friend, and your partner in health, happiness, and prosperity. Our guest, Steve BOYRS. How are you, Steve?
Hi, doing great. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you, my friend, indeed. We want to kick off things, but before we get into our conversation, just was asking you about Tom Brady. I'm sure by now you would have heard that he had made another statement that he was going to be coming back as the quarterback for Tampa. After he had said before he was done, that was it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's as long as it's okay with him and his family, and they're all happy and supportive, and he's healthy enough. God bless him. I'm sure the rest of the NFL cringed a little bit, and everybody's chance of winning just decreased a few percentage points. But if he's healthy and he's happy, and his wife and children are on board, Godspeed. Absolutely, go get him.
Okay, I hear you. All right, tell us something, Steve. Before you were a teenager and you truly became aware of yourself as an individual and stuff, what was it like back then before you as a young man growing up with your family and stuff? What was it like for you? What was the experience like?
Growing up was very difficult for me. When I was about 5 years old, we were living out on Long Island. We had moved out from the Bronx, New York, to try to have the idyllic life, the suburbs with the quarter-acre house and the white picket fence. And that was going well until one morning, my father died in a car wreck on the Southern State Parkway.
Wow.
And, from there, things kind of just spiraled downwards. I never really got over his passing. It was me, my mother, and my sister. We kind of struggled to keep things going. I was learning disabled, and by the time I was in middle school, I was flunking out. I was overweight. I was being bullied, and but I couldn't find a reason to get out of bed anymore, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I hear you.
I didn't have hope for a better tomorrow. I was a complete loser, and how could I be anything else? And that's when my mother really started to change the tide in my life.
Okay.
And I always had insomnia. I was stressed out and
Hmm.
terrified of the next day, and so was she.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we would meet up at the kitchen table, around midnight every night, and we'd just start chatting. And she saw my pain, and like a mom, like any good mom, oh, you're beautiful, it's going to be okay, right? But you
Yeah.
don't believe your
Yeah.
mom.
Right.
She's your crazy mom, and of course, she has to say those things.
Okay.
Um, but then, she took a different tack. She said, you know what? You're not the only person in this family who's had trouble. You're not the only person who's had adversity. This isn't a unique situation for you, my son. And
Okay.
started getting taken aback by that. And she says, let me tell you about your Ukrainian grandmother, my
Hmm.
father's mother, my babcha.
Right.
And I only knew her. She actually died in the same crash as my father, so I never really got to know her. I only knew her as the apple strudel lady. She made
Oh,
an excellent. As a chubby kid, you identify people by what pastry they bring to the house, right? This
interesting. Yeah.
donut guy and this. But what did she do that was so wonderful? And my mother said, well, she basically was a superhero.
Okay.
I said, hey, get out of here, superhero. But you're going to throw apple strudel at the bad guy. And she says,
Mm.
well, when she was your age, she wasn't struggling with obesity. She was struggling with starvation.
Oh man.
And I perked up and I said, well, what are you talking about? Well, she grew up in Ukraine,
Uh-huh.
which of course, was in the headlines constantly now for the wrong
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
And it was a time when Stalin was trying to break their will to resist,
Right.
another evil
Right.
Russian dictator.
Yeah.
And the Ukrainians are very proud, as you can tell right now. They're very proud
Yeah.
people.
Definitely.
And in order to break their will, he enacted what was known as the Holodomor, or
Okay.
Great Hunger. And that
Yeah.
was the Ukrainian genocide. And millions of Ukrainians starved to death. And her family was absolutely devastated. The things they had to do to survive
Hmm.
were unimaginable. But this family got through this terror um, with a steel belief that one day they would have a better day,
Right. Right.
that they
Yeah.
would stick together
Uh-huh.
and support each other, and that they would survive, and maybe not them, but maybe their kids or grandchildren, me,
Yeah.
would,
Yeah.
would, would have a nice life. And that's how they were going to beat Stalin,
Okay.
was with this faith. And they survived it. They made it. And not all of them,
Oh,
but
okay.
they got back on their feet and they started to rebuild. And at that same time, unfortunately, Hitler became master of Germany. And just when they were getting back on their feet, he unleashed Operation Barbarossa, which was the invasion of the Soviet Union and
Right.
largest land battle in the history of the world. And my babcha's on the front line.
Hmm.
And she's quickly overrun. Her family is captured or killed. She never sees another family member again.
Okay.
And she's made a slave. She's brought to a work camp and has to labor for the Nazis for the duration of the war. And as a child, I'm just about falling off the chair. Couldn't imagine anything like this,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or having to deal with this. And when my babcha was just about to lose all hope, the old women from the camp came to her rescue, the babushkas, the women with the
Yeah.
headscarves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they took her in and they protected her as best they could. They actually put a babushka on her because at this time she was a beautiful teenage girl,
Okay.
which was not an asset in a slave camp
In
with
those days.
the
Yeah.
Nazi
Yeah.
guards.
Yeah.
They actually smeared horse manure on her
Oh my goodness.
to ward off any unwanted advances.
Right.
And they didn't have to, and that's what I love about the story. They didn't have to take care of her. In fact, at points they risked their lives doing so.
Okay.
But they did it because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
They
Right.
saw a person in need and they were going to take care of her. And it's what they would want for their granddaughter,
Right.
who might be in another camp. Who knows?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And she got through with love. And
Wow.
she's going to meet her husband there. She's actually going to have my father in the camp
Mm-hmm.
just at the end of the imprisonment. And she's going to have an extraordinary life.
Okay.
And by the time she passes away, she made it to the United States, had a family, met 4 grandchildren, owned her own house, owned a business,
Yeah.
and by every measure was a success and
Okay.
was beloved. And that's how she got her, revenge, so to say, by living a great life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
by giving me um, an opportunity to have a great life. And love was the answer for my babcha.
Wow, that's a wonderful and intriguing story of your past, and I'm glad that you're so in touch with it, Steve. It tells a lot about your character. And when you think back on those days and you remember the history and how powerful it is, what are some of the things that you have learned that have built you and made you the kind of individual that you are today and you can share with people?
The story, kind of got me through some very hard times.
Right.
When
Yeah.
I was thinking about quitting or not being good enough, I'm like, well, if she could do that,
Uh-huh.
it was an inspiration. And, that's not to say my problems weren't real,
Yeah.
but, and the pain I was going through wasn't real, but it made me realize it was not insurmountable.
Right.
Uh,
Wonderful.
and, and all you need is a chance. All you need is hope. And, that's what my mother gave to me on those lonely nights, sitting up there terrified.
I love that, Steve. I love that. You mentioned love several times, and that is an important and key factor, a virtue that almost seems to be lacking in a large part of the world today. But how much of that and the other things that you have learned are you able now to instill in your personal family and share those values with them? How has that been for you?
It's everything,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of the problems we have today
Mm-hmm.
are directly because of a lack of love or an absence of love,
There you go.
and the fear that grows out of it. It's a fear that you're not good enough, that
Mm-hmm.
you're not worthy. Maybe you're not worthy of being loved. That especially here, seeing in the United States, I imagine might be similar in other places, where
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of an every man for himself mentality,
Uh-huh.
and we're starting to see, the fracturing of communities, um, where everybody thinks everybody's the enemy, and but we really have much more in common than we don't.
That's right.
And at the end of
That's
the
right.
day, we really want the same things. Um,
Yeah, we
and,
do. We do.
and it's just, this book and this story, is hopefully going to be a reminder of
Uh-huh.
that, and try to a way to bring folks together.
All right, tell us a bit about the book. I'm getting an idea of what inspired it now, but the name is really strange. It's quite unusual. And it also has this kind of listen, you know what? I want to see what this guy is thinking. I want to see where he's coming from. I just want to read. That's what the name says of the book. It brings out that level of intrigue and interest. But what prompted you to come up with it, and how was the experience in putting it together so that it is now out for the public?
Sure. I was thinking about doing this for quite some time, but when we had the pandemic, that it really,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I had some time,
Hmm.
but also I really had to try,
Right.
um, to do something to try to help bring folks together.
Uh-huh.
Because with the pandemic, we also saw tremendous adversity, right?
Yes.
And I saw my my family suffering with depression from being locked up, and
Yeah, yeah.
and the worry, especially in the beginning, we had no idea what this thing was, what COVID
Right.
was, it's going to be. And then, on social media, the divisions and people who'd been friends and family, tearing each other to pieces,
Hmm.
um, was horrifying. And so the title of the book is all about overcoming adversity.
Okay.
And we're all going to have challenges in life, and I
Right.
truly believe here we are here to learn.
Hmm.
When we get challenges, that's the whole game. That's why we're here.
Right.
And to give people an understanding that whatever hits you, you have control of how you react to it.
Definitely.
And you can't control what happens, but you control your reaction to it. And
That's right.
sometimes those challenges can be historic, like for my babcha, two
Yeah.
evil dictators. For me, my initial challenge was the Southern State Parkway. That's the road my father was driving on when he was killed.
Okay. I understand now. Yeah. Okay.
But it could be a drinking problem. It could be divorce. It
Yeah.
could be losing your job. COVID-19. It's and many people feel that they have no control.
Right.
Why did this happen to me? Uh, and they feel a lack of love and support. And that's why I wrote this. I wanted folks to realize you do have control. You do have hope. And the story's full of people like my babcha, like me, who overcame challenges and were successful. And you look around, there's so many other inspirational people out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I've had folks read the book and they say, hey, my grandmother was great too.
I hear
My uncle did
that.
this, or
Okay.
my father did this, and me. I go, absolutely.
Yes.
Those are the stories we need to tell.
That's
The
right.
the everyday folk,
Mm-hmm.
who aren't the superheroes, right?
Yeah.
But they are,
Yes.
and we can be them. Um, it's hard work. It's not
It is.
always fun,
It is. It is. It
but
is.
we can all get through this together.
I like that, Steve, and thanks for sharing. You have been very, very positive and endearing thus far. But tell me, you seem to have a double passion. I should say triple. One is family, two, football, three, teaching. How do you balance those together as an individual? I know you must have some system, some method in place, but how do you manage to have held on so long? 25 years is a long time. How did you
Sure.
manage?
It's hard. It's one of the reasons why I've lost my hair.
Wow.
I'm kidding, but
I did too, bro.
so we go to the same barber. It looks beautiful. Um,
Wow.
but it's no, I'm just having some fun. But
Hmm.
no, it is challenging. But they all work together.
Right, right.
It's all the same thing. And I got into education as a way of paying back folks. Like we talked
Right.
about my Baptist story. Well, that's
Yeah.
great. That's a great pep talk my mother gave me. But how do you actualize it? How do you actually
Okay.
do anything?
Yeah.
And that's when she sent me to football. She says you got to go play some sports. And it was on the field where I met my coaches, but they weren't just teaching me how to win a game; they were teaching me how to be a man and how to be
Hmm.
have a successful life.
Right.
And their message was first and foremost family.
Okay.
Um, and we had a slogan on our team. I played out on Sayville, Long Island. If anybody ever runs out there, it's a beautiful place. And the slogan was "Brothers Forever."
Okay.
That when you joined that team, it didn't matter if you were the best player, going to go challenge Tom Brady, or
Hmm.
you were the worst bench guy, and would spill the Gatorade. You know, you were a family,
Yeah.
and we all had each other, and that just was such a beautiful experience. I started off, I was the worst kid on the team, and then I built myself up, and eventually played in college and all that. But it was just something that saved my life.
I hear you. I hear you.
Um, and it's not just football. I mean, football is wonderful, but it could be any other sport.
Yeah.
My daughter wasn't an athlete; she did not enjoy competitive, but she was in the theater.
Okay.
Um, and watching, it was the same thing. It's that family, and you have to rely on each other,
Right.
and you
Right.
can't win by yourself.
Yes. It's teamwork.
Um, and that's also, I think, that something that confuses people. Everybody thinks, well, it's the self-made man. I did it all myself,
Uh-huh.
and you can't. Of course, you have to ask for help.
That's right. That's right.
Nobody made it by themselves. You get the help. You accept, as we like to say, accept the coaching,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and then once you have an opportunity, then you give back
Great.
and try to pass back, pay forward, so to say, those great life lessons.
Yeah. Wonderful story, Steve. I like the attitude. I like the commitment. It's definitely inspiring. We have been listening to Steve BOYRS, man who is a father, author, coach and also a speaker. And we're going to take a little break and we're going to come right back and continue with our very interesting guest, Steve BOYRS. Stand by, folks. Don't go anywhere. We will be with you shortly.
Hi, people. This is a special invitation for you to join our community. Yes, we're inviting you to join our community for 2022. What's in store? Well, what we want is your feedback on our content and our guests, but more so on what you need to be inspired and transformed from your current condition to one of happiness, health, and prosperity. So drop us a line and reach out. Help us to better help you achieve your goals. So, people, inbox me at www.facebook.com/mddreamer/. That's www.facebook.com/mddreamer/. Or send me an email at lovebitsa@gmail.com. That's lovebitsa@gmail.com. We love hearing from you as we build our partnership in growth and development, and we look forward to your communicating. Help us to help you to live a better life in personal growth and development from Andy's Personal Development. We love you. We look forward to hearing from you. See you soon. Bye for now.
Okay, folks, we are back live in the breakout room on Andy's Personal Development on the Love Bits A channel, and our special guest, Steve BOYRS. Steve, I'd like for you to share with us what has been your most compelling experience in life. If there's one, just one, that you can pick out for the time that you've known yourself, what would be the one that has the most telling effect on your life thus far?
Oh my goodness. It's one thing that really has shaped me has been being a father,
Right.
and having this enormous responsibility.
Okay.
And it's something that you grow up and everything is about you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're the kind of center of your own universe, and you look at most people's phones before they have children. Most of the pictures are of you, right? The selfie,
Mhm.
right? They
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
that concept. Or you're standing in front of a famous something or other. But once you have those children, it's absolutely terrifying,
Right.
because you don't know what you're doing. Nothing has
Uh-huh.
prepared you for this. I remember first time I fed my daughter, I burped her and she threw up on my back. And I was
Wow.
walking around with it for
Wow.
hours before I realized,
What was
what that smell
happening?
was.
Yeah.
Um, but it's understanding, and some people, leave their family
Okay.
because it's so hard and it's so time, you can't sleep, and all your resources. But you got to realize by doing it, you're contributing something greater than you could ever be by yourself.
Okay.
And by being a part of this family, yes, it feels like a massive sacrifice in time and energy. But ultimately, what you get back is just so much more than you could ever imagine, if you were just on your own or doing things. And there are ups and downs, and there's times you doubt yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but staying the course
Hmm.
is very, and a lot of the lessons I learned to be a great dad. I hope I'm a
Mhm.
great
Oh yeah.
if
Definitely.
that's my children, right?
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
feed them at least. But I learned from my coaches and from my teachers about being, the people say, well, you got to be selfless, but by giving a piece of yourself, you
Mhm.
make yourself greater than you could ever imagine.
Wow.
So that way it's
Yeah.
not really a sacrifice. You're building something greater than you could ever be. But people don't always realize they don't ever get to that point
Okay.
because it
Okay.
is so jarring and shocking. It's an earth-shaking event. Um, but being a dad has given me so much perspective, and seeing my wife, who is just a tremendous mother, um, and how she behaves. And we don't always see eye to eye, of course.
Yeah,
I'm always wrong, I think. At least that's what I'm told. But
you're quite humble.
it's it's something that's very rewarding.
Okay, great. I like that. Thanks for sharing, Steve. I'm wondering, you seem to be so uh, powerfully taken up in the aspect of family and love, and that's a powerful foundation. But tell me something. If there's one person that you would have in the back of your mind that would be a mentor, that one person that you know you could go to who understands Steve, and when you reach out, they wouldn't, just take what you're saying for granted, but they would give you something that you can hold on to, and they would help you to face reality and be the kind of mentor that helps you to stay balanced, the voice of reason, so to speak. Who would that person be for you, Steve?
Um, I've had some great mentors.
Hmm.
Right now, I talk to him all the time as my former football coach, Coach Fred Mariani,
Okay.
who is also an unbelievable family man. The sacrifices he made for his family,
Right.
and his daughter are just unbelievable. And he's just a tremendous role model.
Okay.
And he taught us so much. And again, it was on the field,
Hmm.
but you can bring it right to the rest of your life. It's
Yes.
directly transferable.
Okay.
And yeah, I go to him. Believe me, I still struggle. I still have bad days, and you try to be a great family. You don't. It doesn't always work out as planned, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
make mistakes, we stumble, we trip, and I just hope when I do, I'm wise enough to go get help
Right.
and call on folks like Coach Fred, who can get you back on track either with a hug or a kick in the butt. And he knows, and that's the true art of coaching or teaching, is when to hug and when to you know push you a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And and that's what it is. And I have current players. I have former players went on to be teachers and coaches, and I have that relationship with them still. Where they can call me up, hey, coach, I'm struggling with this problem in my life, and they're grown men now, but we still have that relationship. And it's just kind of
Yeah.
this nice
Great.
mentoring.
Great.
Um, the other person, she's no longer with us, is my
Uh-huh.
mother.
Right. I get
Um,
that.
and that's why I also wrote the book. Was if I could bring one person back, in these dark times,
Hmm.
who could help, it would be my mother, Norma Boris.
Okay.
Just such a wise and loving person. Just sitting at the table with her, she saved my life.
Wow.
Um,
Gotcha.
and I think everybody could do. I think it would be very helpful. And I wrote the book as a conversation with her in
Okay.
large part. So I think hearing those conversations could really help some folks out.
Yeah. Your story is really touching and moving. I could hear the emotion there, mentioning your mom who's now passed on. But tell me something, Steve. All of us have this big why. There is something that wakes us up in the morning and keeps us going through the day. And when we get back home at night and we look back at the things that we had done, we feel a little bit fulfilled. It may not have been the best day, but as long as we had the opportunity to do what we thought was best, you know, that gives us something to move on. What is your big why? What keeps you doing what you're doing now?
Absolutely. Anybody, and finding your why is critical.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a great point you make there. Nietzsche once said, anybody who has a why can bear any how.
uh-huh,
And you're going to have to go through some hard times, most likely.
right.
If you want to accomplish goals. But my why goes back to Babcha.
Okay.
The hell she went through,
Mm-hmm.
so I could have a nice life.
Yeah.
I'm on the hook.
Hmm.
I owe her, and if I don't, you know, be a good man. Are you still there? Did we freeze
Yeah,
up again? Oh, there you are. Okay, good.
I'm here.
Okay, thank goodness. If I'm not a good man, And I stumble with that. Don't get me wrong. But if
Right.
I'm not, if I stumble, I'm going to stumble forward,
Right.
trying to be.
Okay.
Um, then Hitler and Stalin win
Yeah, I get
because they
that.
were they were they were both of them were genocidal maniacs. They were trying to wipe out my family from existence, not just kill, but erase from history. That's what genocide ultimately is: erase
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't let that happen. And I'm proof of her love. And
Right.
so my why is I have to, be a man of love and try to teach my own children
Mm-hmm.
and try to share this with my wife, and then by extension, my players and my students.
Yeah. Great.
And it doesn't mean I have to invent something or become president or, it's just about being a decent person
Yeah. Yeah.
or trying your best. And when you fail at that, fix it.
That's right. I like that. I like that.
That's the why.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and that's the only way we're going to make the world a better place
Yeah.
is by all trying to be men and women of love and having humility when we screw it up to own up and try to fix it.
Thanks for sharing, Steve. That was quite moving. I understand your foundation, and I understand and appreciate you more as a result. Tell me something. When you look at uh, the many different phases that you have been through with regards to the teaching and the coaching, what are some of the challenges that you face, particularly with the young people, when it comes to making them understand what they need to do, how they need to do it as a coach? What are some of the challenges you face with especially the young men that you coach?
Is getting them to understand that when we're hard on them,
Uh-huh.
that it's out of love.
Okay. Okay.
And trying to size up each individual and seeing what kind of buttons that need to be pushed.
Okay.
You know, because you can't get to be a great player or great anything without some honest feedback. And
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes that can bruise egos. And
Yeah.
sometimes people don't want to hear that, especially at a
Yeah.
young age.
Right.
As a teenager, you of course, I wish I was a teenager. That's when I knew everything,
Mm.
and I was perfect, right? Um, and it's about finding a strategy to kind
Right.
of break through. It's not, you can't have a cookie cutter approach. Like with my own son, we have a great relationship, but sometimes when I try to coach him,
Hmm.
he doesn't want to hear from dad.
I hear
So
that.
I got to find another coach
Yeah. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
will say the same thing, but he'll accept it.
Right.
But again, it's about finding a way to win,
Right.
and that's the challenge because it's going to be different for everybody and for each situation.
Exactly. Great. I like that. What about the book? Tell me a little bit about the book. Have you been able to do a tour? Is there the opportunity for you to speak a lot about the story and the reasoning behind you writing the book and so on? How has that been for you?
It's been a lot of fun. Haven't been on tour or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
I've been doing many conversations with folks like you.
Right.
I've been on many dozen or so podcasts. I can't even count that high. I have to take off my shoes to count that high. But it's been amazing, and doing on social media, and I'm starting to get some speaking engagements at local high schools, and it's been a lot of fun, and just meeting folks like yourself who have the same message
Yeah.
and who have the same beliefs,
Yes.
and like us, we're maybe some superficial differences aside from our haircut and two different places in the world. But I think we have the same values and love. I think it's right behind you. The sign says love, and that's what I've been talking about. And we have more in common than we don't. And what we have in common is, I think, what's really important.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. What is the future like for Steve BOYRS? What do you see yourself doing? Is there a specific plan? Maybe another book in the making? I don't know, but how do you see a future shaping up? What are some of the things you'd like to accomplish going forward?
Yeah, I would love to continue teaching and coaching,
Right?
and I really would like to continue to work with folks like you and
Mhm.
do some public speaking and start visiting high schools. Because it's great. I can reach X amount of kids, in
Right.
my own
Right.
classroom, and
Yeah.
but by getting the show on the road, so to say, and using
Mhm.
the book as a vehicle, we can help spread this message and just hopefully give some people some hope
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the next book I'd like to write is about my children and their struggles,
Okay.
especially my daughter who
Mhm.
both my kids have epilepsy.
Okay.
And that's especially my daughter. She struggled all throughout high school
Mhm.
and was bedridden for long stretches because of
Wow.
the medication and the side effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she is an inspiration, and my son also has overcome some great difficulties as well. And but their story's not done yet.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
we have to see how
Another
they shake
chapter to
out.
come. Yeah.
So I can start the first few chapters right
Okay.
We'll
Sounds
see how they turn
interesting.
out.
You have been through a lot of stuff, Steve, and I'm looking at some of the things that you have said on some of your podcast appearances. And one thing that sticks out to me is that good things happen or bad things happen to good people. But you have come through so many things, and there are still things that are challenges that are taking place in your life. What are some of the things that you're going to say to people who are basically stuck in that timeline with that kind of mindset, thinking that, oh my goodness, it's just bad and there's nothing good to come out of it? But your story says different. What are some of the things could you just say to them at this moment that would help them to be inspired to think differently, or to at least come out of that place and see hope?
Right. I want folks to know that you're in control how you react to
Yeah.
those terrible things.
Yeah.
And it's the challenge. It's life.
Right.
That's why we're here, is to see how you're going to respond.
Hmm.
And if you hold on, if you have faith, if you have hope, the tide will turn.
Yeah, I like that.
And you have a choice to go find help.
Yes.
Whatever your problem is, there's folks out there who can help. But it's hard sometimes. Sometimes the folks are right under your nose and you
Yeah.
don't want to see. And believe me, I screw this up all the time.
Hmm.
I'm seem very calm and cool right now, but my goodness,
Hmm.
the challenges keep coming.
Okay.
And I've had some very dark days. I've had some terrible experiences in the not too recent past.
Right.
And there have been times I've lost hope too.
Okay.
But I go back to my babcha.
Hmm.
I go back to other inspirational people who I've read about or who I met, or all other family members who
Yeah.
who have gotten through dark times.
Right.
And you can do it too.
Yes.
And I also want to reassure people, you know, that we love you,
Right.
that we're in this together,
Yes.
and you got to get yourself around good people who are going to give you that love and
Very
support,
important. Very important.
and aren't going to be those negative ones who try to put you down.
Powerful stuff, Steve. I'm so glad that you decided to come on the show. It has been very inspiring and motivational, but so much more deeper than that, because people need to understand that they need to take steps to transform what is happening in their lives. And I'm glad that you're giving them the opportunity to believe that they have the ability to do it. That's what we're here for. And we're really thankful for you coming on the show. I'm going to give you the screen now for a moment, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell folks how they can get in contact with you. If they need you to speak, if they want to get your book, if they want to join your Facebook page, or whatever the case might be, it's all yours now, just to tell them a little bit about how they can make contact with you for speaking, counseling, the book, as the case might be. It's all up to you now, Steve.
All right. Oh, okay. No pressure. You can reach me on social media at Steve, Steve, dot BORYS at gmail.com. If you want to chat, or if you want me to come out to you, speak to your organization or school, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can reach me there as well. My book is out through Page Publishing, and you can find it on Amazon or on Barnes and Noble website. Hitler, How to Beat Stalin, Hitler, and the Southern State Parkway.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve, for coming on the show. It has been a wonderful and compelling experience just having you speak about your story, your experience, your family, the coaching, the teaching, the book, your history. It's just been wonderful. Our guest live in the breakout room has been Steve BOYRS. People, the show has come to an end, and we are sad to say that we have to leave you now. We'd love to continue, but we have to go. So remember, as you continue to join us, remember the three watchwords: health, happiness, and prosperity. And that is something that every single human being on this planet deserves. Steve, you have been an inspiration. We thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with us. I'm sure that there are a lot of people whose life has been touched and inspired by the wonderful things that you have said. So until next time, we say Godspeed, Shalom, Namaste. Take care now.